Hey, it's Nicole. I'm here today with Ben Johnson. He's a CEO and founder of Particle41. And, sometimes we get to talk with engineers or dev teams, dev firms. We learn a whole lot of things that we don't always know how to implement. I have a feeling this conversation is going to go a little different because Ben is a serial entrepreneur. He's a co-founder with a track record of success and hands-on open source programming experience.
Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you.
Thank you and welcome to the show, Ben.
Nicole, I'm really happy to be here.
Hey, just a reminder, our show is brought to you by SmartCookie Media, where we believe data tells a story, and not just any story, your business story. As a subscriber to the show or as a client, you'll get insights on profitable, data-driven marketing strategies that work for you and your business, your industry, not some cookie cutter trends. No, ideas that are led by your customer data so you know they'll work for you. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram to learn more. Everything's in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. I like to start the show the exact same way with every guest. How would you finish this sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
I think it's when you have a goal in mind and you're driven by that goal and, you're expressing yourself in business and trying to achieve, a mission in business in a way.
Yeah. I love that.
Big or small.
Yeah. And you're driven by the goal. That is so key. Some people will talk about having someone who's a self-starter, and that's one thing. And there might be a goal there. But to hear that you're driven by the goal, right? Like it just calls to you, pulls to you. So tell us a bit about the business that you own or businesses that you own and what you do, what you bring to the world.
Sure. So usually you know about product companies and then you have service companies. Well, lately in my career, I kind of focus on both. I'll have a startup venture that I'm collaborating with, but my main focus is Particle41. It's a software consultancy. And we really focus on driving teams, expert teams into businesses everywhere.
Oh, incredible. Everywhere. So globally.
Yeah, we have offices near shore and offshore, and then a bunch of great folks in the US as well.
Incredible. So tell me, what's your story? What led you to entrepreneurship, to this work specifically? Was there a specific moment or experience, even maybe a childhood one, that pulled you to entrepreneurship?
Sure, there was. When I was in junior high, I wanted to have the fly kicks. So I went and got a paper route, had a paper route for 3 years, woke up 4:30 in the morning and got that paper on everybody's door. And then I had to go around and do collections. So once a month, I had to go knock on every door, ask for my $7 and had a little adventure so that I could have, the fly apparel like the rest of the kids.
Oh, incredible. I love it. How did you figure out that you could do that sort of thing? Like not every kid has a paper route.
I think I talked to the guy that was delivering our paper at the time and, just kicked it off. He was giving up the route that I lived on. So I was one of the lucky kids. I got to live on my route.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. Oh my gosh. I always say if kids can see it, they can be it. So like what a great example. If you saw it and then you were able to run after it.
Sure.
Incredible. What's something that people would be surprised to learn about in your early days as an entrepreneur? Because you didn't always have Particle41.
No, my first job out of college is a company called One Travel. An interesting thing about One Travel that I say now, because a lot of the folks I work with are younger and they've never lived in a world where like the cloud doesn't exist, right? The cloud's been a part of their career since the beginning. Well, when I started my career, there was no cloud. So we had to rack and stack our own hardware, just do a lot of IT things that we don't really have to do these days. So I tell those war stories about working inside a small shopping center building with a diesel generator outside and serving up a pretty awesome travel website.
Oh, incredible. Incredible. Okay. So tell me a bit about Particle41 and the team that you get to lead, because what I know for sure is in growing a business, it's not just managing it or the day to day or just the sales, but in growing one, there's these things called people. And people are people-y. So talk to me a bit about what you come up against as you're growing a company and a culture and a team, and that many are remote. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so we focus on remote teams, but it really starts with the leadership of the business. So my company is run by 4 previous CTOs. We all kind of hold different expertise or different backgrounds. One of those CTOs is an Indian national who I've been friends with or been working with professionally for 20 years. And he really covers our India operations and my business partner that handles revenue. He's been a CTO for like CNN Digital And then we have a fourth one who's really good at operations. So we just have built up this collective, I could say veteran level experience. And then we're working with all of our project managers, developers, QA folks. And we practice DevOps and data engineering in addition to regular software development. So I'm focusing on partner development. And then, of course, I have a couple of clients that I'm heavily engaged with. I do CTO advisory as one of the service line items that I'm directly involved with, but I also am really a part of the DevOps practice.
So what's really interesting to me is when I picture 4 CTOs together, I pictured, man, first of all, the high level of conversation that maybe I only aspire to be at some point. There was always something when I would sit next to an engineer that would impart some wisdom that I always didn't have. If they were willing to get a little social with me, right? As a marketer, my love is supporting entrepreneurs from marketing to automation, that's for sure. So we kind of crossed over to their world a lot. But I find that sometimes they would view the world, or maybe all the time, they view the world as broken and they got to fix it. Seeing that there might be 4 of you that feel like we got to fix it feels like a nice split of the burden. Like, okay, we do got to fix it, but at least we can split it up a little bit. Do you
Yeah,
feel that way?
I think it's allowing each of us to do what we really like doing. One of our CTOs that's really responsible for revenue, he gets to really exercise the strategy side of
Yeah.
running a technology company, and he provides a lot of our executive client support. I really like the team development and system engineering part of the problem. And so I get to do that the most with our body of clients.
Oh, incredible. So tell me a story about some of those clients. If there's somebody listening here today, who are they? What's an ideal client? And how do you come alongside them and help solve some problems?
It's a really wide range. We have a couple of our startup clients that we really like. Those projects are both fast paced, making sure that we can hit the next investment or, sales traction goal with the right number of features. So we love our startup clients, but we also work with a leading MSP that's just a service provider that's helping care for people's cloud. We do a lot of application modernization and application transitions or migrations into the cloud. And those clients tend to be more enterprise focused. If I had to summarize it though, I'd say that we best serve clients between 6 million in rev and 100 million in rev.
Okay. Is there a story there of one of those clients? You don't have to share a name or maybe exact numbers or figures, but is there a story and how you've helped them go from this to this or maybe overcome a challenge for them that you can share?
Sure, I'll give you two and I'll make sure not to get too techy to lose folks' interest. We love our startup clients. One of them does music lessons. So we built that in lesson experience. We were able to get it up and running so that they could launch a pilot really quickly. We were able to hit investment targets for them and participate in some of the advising and investor approach and product approach at an early stage. And it just worked out really well. They could meet some demand from some of the colleges, music schools that were learning from COVID and trying to provide a more online experience. That engagement turned out really good and just continued to enjoy seeing their success. But we've also worked with enterprise clients. One had to move all of their resources from an aging data center. So imagine, old parts on your car starting to fall apart, lots of downtime and system instability. We were able to migrate all of that into the cloud in a fairly aggressive timeline. The really interesting thing about that is it ended up being about 180 applications. So the volume was really fun to deal with, but we were able to rep that out.
Oh my goodness. All I hear when I hear those stories is the attention to detail is not just
Oh, yeah.
attention to detail on steroids, but it's whatever the max of that is. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely. I think development is just this kind of details in gardening. So when business folks are a little surprised how much it costs, that's the cost of that detail
Yeah.
management that developers are doing.
Yeah. 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 I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, for the low, low price, folks of, $50 million, they can do that for you too. It's because it's work that, when you're good at it, you're good at it. And
Yeah,
you create a
when
business
you
like you
when you
have, but
say
when you
$50
don't,
million, you have to put your
yeah,
pinky out. You
yeah,
have to give a little Dr. Evil there.
that's fair. It just would feel like something that some folks just know they got to do it, right? Especially, how are you going to get that car across the finish line, much less just across the street. So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing those.
Okay, wait. I just want to tell you that this episode, it's brought to you by Run Like Clockwork. There is a book, there is a program, there's a boot camp, but I want to tell you the reason why this particular episode is here, in fact, the entire show, is because of one commitment I made to make sure my business runs like clockwork. If you're interested in what that system could look like for you so that you have more freedom and flexibility to do the things that you love, say, yes, I want my business to run like clockwork without suffering any type of burnout. If you want more information, of course, reach out anytime, but I also included a link in the show notes. Okay, back to the show.
What's something that you would share that people would be surprised to know as you're growing this business or even the early days of Particle 41?
You just have to make stage appropriate decisions. You have to be willing to just make each client count. The majority of our business has been based on referral. My partner and I, we've been working together for 20 years, like I mentioned. His name's Sukhdev Gidwani. And we would work with a company where I'd be the CTO and I would contract him and we'd build the team together offshore and we would successfully execute that business. And we would just kind of do that, job to job or role to role, he and I kind of pairing up. So it made sense for us to go business together. But as we do that, we'd impact people. People would see how we work. And so when we started Particle, it really was led by my network. And then as we started to partner with more folks and bring in the other CTOs, we were able to, add value to their network as well. So it's been very organic and very referral based. And I think that is just a great way to start a services company if you can. And then, lately now we have to do the brand things and we want to get our message out there. So yeah, it's been just a fun growth trajectory and learning, trying to navigate how to do the right things at the right stage.
Yeah. To hear that you worked with somebody for 20 years, especially working remote and then working with offshore teams. And you started off by saying the war stories, right, from long ago. To know that you guys have been through some of those together, I think that's really, really special and surprising because some people just have a whole lot of pitfalls when they go into partnerships. So you almost had these like constant auditions of working together before you then did the bigger thing together. So you probably knew then what you were looking for in other partners. Can you tell us a bit about that? Like, how do you figure that out? How do you make sure that when you bring a team together, it works?
Not to be too cliche, but extreme ownership. I'm a big fan of Jocko Willink and those kind of principles. Extreme ownership is this idea of doing what you say you would do. That's first and foremost. But the other way I think about it is think what you would tell your boss to tell you to do, or what do you need from your boss? And then either tell them what you need. So now you own your area. You're saying, in order to do my thing and hit my goals, I need you to do X. But a lot of times we have our own internal turmoil around authority. We have stuff that we're also dealing with as people. And so we need to manage our own stuff and we need to check our egos at the door and make sure that we're also really looking at our surroundings in an objective way. So most conflict or interpersonal conflict in the workplace is usually because of subjectivity. We see a tree that's bearing no fruit and we don't stop and look at the forest that has trees full of fruit falling to the ground in abundance.
Yeah.
So we need to notice our surroundings and then make decisions from there. One of those tools is like thinking what you would have your boss do. And then you realize, oh, I could do that for myself. Or I'm sure if I asked them, they would gladly do what I need. Right.
Right.
So we try to exercise that across our partnership and let people kind of own their swim lane, but be willing to help each other out whenever they ask.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's powerful. How does that partnership work?
I think it's best for me to kind of start with how we manage from the top. We do a set of OKRs, objective key results. We do about 3 or 5 of those with some key focus areas. And we define that at the beginning of the year. And then we put an action plan together where each of the next set of leaders, like my partners, will also create theirs. So my partner who's doing all of the BD and revenue, he'll say, hey, this is what I want to do. And then what we've also realized is that translates into some type of daily, weekly goals. Like we would have to be doing something on a regular cadence to achieve that. And so we try to break that down for our team. So like the sales team has definite amounts of activity that they need to do. And then of course, developers know how to manage their daily progress. And visibility is a core value of ours. So we use tools internally to make sure that visibility is on the maximum. So if I am interacting with a client, I want to know what the teammates are doing. They've already documented kind of their daily work log, and we make it not a burden. It's quick, it's easy. Everybody communicates and everybody has visibility with each other's activities. Already having that in place served us very well for a post-COVID world, where visibility became like so much more important because everyone was remote. So we found that these practices were already kind of ingrained and we could adapt very easily.
Oh, I love it. I love the part about quick and easy as well. And I don't mean to downplay or make it sound like I want it to all be fifth grade easy level, but business is already hard enough, right? It's like running after
Right.
the things. So if you can also do the important things, but have some ease and some quickness to it, it makes all the rest that much easier to be able to grow. Incredible. What's one of the most difficult things about either, having owned multiple businesses or the current business? Just what's something that's, just going to be a rub? It's always there.
There's a client objective that needs to be met. We need to figure out how to hit that objective. And so there's work. We like to say that we crush mountains of work. So I'm kind of unapologetic that we are running a service company and we need to hit these objectives that the client has set out. We don't do project-based work. So we just have to make sure that the client sees our forward progress day in and day out. And so the team has to make every day count. And I don't think that level of consistency is easy. And so I'm proud of the team that they're able to do that.
Mm, love that. I love it. So talk to me about plans for the future. What's on the list? Is there selling or exiting on the list or just different growth or any ideas percolating there you're ready to share?
Yeah. I mean, we're interested in any style of growth strategy. So we're definitely looking at our brand, looking at our brand message, working with some great partners to get our message out there, be more engaged in the social sphere. That's just definitely in our next stage of growth. We don't really want to join the masses in cold reach outs. So we want
Yeah.
to figure the right way to introduce ourselves to our customers. I'm just reluctant to join the masses with the spam and the LinkedIn connections.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
so we want
Yeah.
to figure out the right approach there that strikes the balance. And then we're interested in partnerships. I'd love to meet some cybersecurity firms that want help introducing us during the remediation process when they discover things. We'd also love our team that does audits and recommendations. And we'd love to extend that into like the mergers and acquisitions process that just as the economy shifts, the
Yeah.
mergers and acquisitions probably become a real thing. There's a lot of fraud going on in that area. And so we'd like to be a trusted partner to help like an acquirer vet the acquired asset and then participate in the transition because there's usually a transition there in that process.
Oh, incredible. I was thinking about when you said don't want to join the masses. I love that because nobody really wants to join the masses, but they don't always take an intentional, like, hey. And there's an author that I know and love. He has a book called Get Different by Mike Michalowicz, and it's all about marketing. And the biggest takeaway when I sat in one of his seminars or workshops that he did was really what can you like put on its head from the market? So I'm going to pose this question this way. What are your competitors, whether direct competitors or not, but what are those out there doing that makes you cringe? Is it the cold emails? What makes you just cringe for them and the industry as a whole?
Well, if there's any at all detection that it's a template. So if there's something that's not filled into a template,
Yeah.
that's super cringe, where you're like,
Yes.
your data was dirty or something and it kind of went into the
Yes.
template room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Any others?
When they send an email to one of my identities referencing the other identity. So they're trying to personalize the message by saying, hey, we noticed your work over at such and such, but they're emailing like the other identity. They're kind of crossing the
Oh,
stream.
yeah. Yeah.
That annoys me too.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. I love hearing the perspective. I remember working with a CEO. He was an engineer at one time, and the details he'd pick up on that the rest of the world would forgive. And I don't mean to sound like he's a forgiving, wonderful man. Fantastic. If you know who you are, you know who you are. I think the world of you. But he would call out things that you did not do that here. But he would call out some things that I would say, I don't think that would affect a buying decision. But the two that you just used would totally affect a buying decision. I think for all of us, right? If you don't use the right name that you just emailed or the right identity, and then if you also just don't fill out the template, if you didn't make sure the data was clean or find a way to test or proofread, that's so good. because that will impact at least the unsubscribe or please take me off this list, which will impact
Yes, for
revenue.
sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. I appreciate if somebody more experienced reaches out to me with a personal message. If I go look and there's very low years of experience on the person who's contacting me, then the time to have that conversation, I don't think is going to be as valuable. At least that's how I assess it, just being honest. If it's like, executive vice president of a marketing company, I want to learn something about marketing. And it
Yeah.
seems like making a personal connection, those I respond to. And then, of course, ones that are like products that I would be actually interested in using
Yeah.
either for my clients or for my own business.
Yeah. There's something to be said still about a personal touch, even if it's through LinkedIn. We can all tell the difference when it's just copy and paste versus something personal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is one of the key lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur? Maybe it's something you find yourself saying again and again and again. Maybe there's a phrase or a mantra that you like.
I think the extreme ownership and those principles, the detachment, don't get emotional about it. Let's look for the facts. These have been kind of mantras. A lot of times I might be escalated to from a client and I just realize that there's this collection of facts that needs to take place. Developer needs to stand up for themselves a little bit, or the team needs to, present status in a different way so that folks will understand that, hey, work is happening. We're getting it done. This is where we stand, and constantly looking for ways to improve visibility, like I mentioned earlier. So that is just always happening, is making sure that, we're paying attention to the facts and communicating those.
Oh, I love that. Okay. What is your definition of entrepreneurial success?
I think it's being able to see multiple cycles in our team maturity model that we have. We talk about, setting up the flow of work, then getting to where you can kind of see, 4 to 6 weeks ahead in terms of what you're working on as a team. And then starting to align those successful 4 to 6 week cycles with the company's roadmap and their strategic initiatives. And then seeing that successfully happen over 2 planning years where you've said, hey, these are our quarterly goals for the year, and you're like hitting those. You see the fruits of your consistent action.
Yeah, I love that. Some of this reminds me of some training I went through with McKinsey at one point. Have you worked through some of those models, either with them directly or indirectly?
I just have kind of picked up some stuff along my career, but I do really like McKinsey's horizon analysis, the horizon 1, 2, and 3. So we do a bit of that in our annual planning. But the OKR principles, the measure what matters, is where I got that from. And I really like that practice.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome. I like it. We will link those up in the show notes too, because if someone else is like, wait, I don't know, but it sounds like a thing I should know. So what's next for you and the team? You are doing some visibility. So you're hanging out on some podcasts. I know that for sure. But do you have other ideas that are percolating as something that we should know about?
I'm interested in helping cybersecurity firms and helping to give their clients a solid recommendation to fix issues that might be getting discovered. We'd love to work with folks that are considering buying a company and want to go in and make sure all the tech is sound. And then if you're trying to get a product to market, that's what we do. We have several apps that we've been able to launch in the Android and Apple App Store, but also many business applications that we've been able to bring online. And of course, if you're needing any cloud support, there's just a wide range of things that we can do to help medium-sized businesses.
Would we know some of the apps that you mentioned? Should I go download one today?
I'll give a shout out to 4K. 4K Lessons is one of our clients. They're the in-lesson startup that I mentioned.
Yeah.
They just did a great
Yeah.
case study with us, but we'd like to give them a shout out because I think they will go full commercial audience where you can go on and find your music teacher in April. And
Really?
I really think
I
it's
can learn. Wait. I can learn piano possibly from them and starting in April, maybe?
100%. And if you were to have a teacher that you already had, you can introduce them to the platform. Right now, it's available for teachers to use for free. Then in April, the marketplace will go live and you'll be able to find a teacher, but it is totally available to music teachers today.
Incredible. I know a music teacher. She's in my neighborhood. She might be teaching my kiddos soon. So I'll at least let Miss Natalie know. That's fantastic. So
So
exciting.
you would
So
want to go
exciting.
to fortelessons.com if you wanted to
Okay.
learn more about that.
Cool. We will link that up. Okay. Ben, I've got to know, when people want to connect with you, where do you like to hang out online, or is it an email? Where should they message you to reach out and learn more about your experience and your expertise?
So LinkedIn is probably the best place. It's Benjamin R. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Ben. This is great. I really
Awesome.
appreciate chatting with you. You've been listening to the Serial Entrepreneur Show, produced by the team here at SmartCookie Media.